Australia, a land of mystery, opportunity, and conflict. For tens of thousands of years, it was home to thriving indigenous cultures. Then, in the late 18th century, everything changed. In this video, we'll uncover how Australia came into being, how the land was colonized, how the Aboriginal peoples were affected, and how the states united to form the Australia we know today. The discovery by Europeans. For centuries, European explorers suspected there was a vast southern land, but it remained a mystery. That changed in 1606, when Dutch navigator Willem Janszoon became the first European to map Australia's western coastline. The Dutch called it New Holland, but they weren't interested in settling this harsh and unfamiliar land. In 1770, British explorer Captain James Cook sailed along the eastern coast. He claimed it for Britain, naming it New South Wales. This was the beginning of a new chapter in Australia's history. The First Fleet and British colonization. In 1788, the First Fleet arrived at Sydney Cove, establishing the first British colony. Initially, it was a penal settlement for British convicts, who were sent to alleviate overcrowded prisons back home. The colony expanded quickly, but this came at a cost. The arrival of the British had devastating effects on the Aboriginal peoples, who had lived on the land for over 65,000 years. The impact on Aboriginal peoples. For the Aboriginal peoples, colonization meant the loss of land, culture, and lives. The British saw the land as terra nullius, a Latin term meaning nobody's land, and claimed it as their own. In some areas, this led to violent clashes, like the Black War in Tasmania, where entire communities were displaced or wiped out. Diseases like smallpox, brought by the settlers, further devastated indigenous populations. Although some attempts were made to negotiate, such as informal settlements between British settlers and Aboriginal leaders, these were often one-sided. Aboriginal people were pushed off their ancestral lands and forced into unfamiliar territories. Formation of the colonies. As more settlers arrived, Australia's land was divided into separate colonies. New South Wales was the first colony, established in 1788. Van Diemen's Land, now Tasmania, was separated in 1825. South Australia was founded in 1836 as a free settlement, avoiding the penal colony model. Victoria and Queensland split from New South Wales in the mid-19th century. Finally, Western Australia joined the fold in 1890. Each colony had its own government and laws, but this division also led to competition and disputes. The gold rush and economic growth. In the 1850s, the discovery of gold in Victoria and New South Wales sparked a massive rush of immigrants from around the world. This influx of people and wealth transformed Australia's economy and cities like Melbourne and Sydney, making them centres of global trade. But the benefits were not evenly shared. Aboriginal people were further displaced as settlers rushed to claim land for farming and mining. The push for federation. By the late 19th century, it became clear that the colonies needed to work together. Issues like defence, trade, and immigration demanded a unified approach. In 1891, the first draft of an Australian constitution was written. After years of debate, the colonies voted to unite under one federal government. Federation, the birth of modern Australia. On January 1, 1901, the Commonwealth of Australia was officially established. The 6 colonies became states, each retaining some independence while being part of a larger nation. A new capital city, Canberra, was planned to avoid rivalry between Sydney and Melbourne. It symbolised unity and the promise of a new future. Modern Australia, balancing growth and reconciliation. Since federation, Australia has grown into a multicultural nation of over 26 million people. But the journey has not been without challenges. Efforts to recognise and reconcile with the Aboriginal peoples continue today, acknowledging their enduring connection to the land and their role in Australia's history. From the arrival of European explorers to the unification of its colonies, Australia's story is one of resilience, transformation, and learning. Each chapter brings us closer to understanding the complex history of this remarkable land. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Australia's history. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.